to all the dispossessed youth of Africa, for perpetuation of communion with ancestral spirits through the fight for African freedom, and in the firm faith that the dead, the living, and the unborn will unite to build the destroyed shrines. Selah. Hello and welcome, beloveds, to another episode of Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways and that you're blissfully moving into living your best life, because this is our season. For many of us, this is why we're here, and we have to get into our own narrative so that we can understand and understand why we're here and what kind of story we're supposed to be unfolding for ourselves, because it's all about narratives, beloveds. The mind, creates the reality, from the unseen manifests the seen. And so if all you're doing is concentrating on the scene, then there's someone who's, manifesting your life for you. And that is what the Great Awakening is all about. But those are definitely stories for other days. Someone sent me a story about Australia and how they're now, they're calling them the stolen generation. Get what they did. So they took children away from their parents when they were very young, and they were forced into these camps to kind of re-educate them, recolonize them, clone them, literally. These were like the original cloning camps. And they went there, and many never saw their parents again, so that they could assimilate into the Babylon culture that had invaded their nations. Well, now, on last Thursday, Australia's Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, announced that they were going to actually implement a plan where they would be returning $280 million to the indigenous communities over a span of 5 years. So why all these apologies, beloveds? If you remember, because I'm not really doing the news, but I am covering spiritual signatures, because, we are in the final battle. We are in the final, Armageddon. But what does that mean spiritually? If we know that everything happens physically first, it means that a lot of spirits whose destinies were cut short are back. And I just see so many children spirits are back, because if you remember, or I don't know if you read, if you've been like me and you've been, building your off-grid home, you may have missed it. But the same thing happened in Canada, where, in Canada it was worse. They found hundreds of unmarked graves at Catholic, I think it was in Catholic, these Catholic schools, etc., Catholic missions, of indigenous children who had been taken away from their families, same situation, and taken to these schools in order to be re-educated, cloned, literally. These were the first cloning centers into what they wanted Canada to look like. And so it's been a painful one in Canada, because I don't think there's been any apology. I don't think the Pope apologized, because I told you, apologizing comes with, you have to commit some money to it. But what is happening, beloveds, if we go deeper? What is really going on? And what is really underfoot is that the spirit of the children whose lives, whose destinies were cut short, is back. Those, we're in the age of truth, and I think we really miss how deep that is, where even the bones of those who have passed are now crying out for justice. They're crying out for the truth to be known. These are absolutely amazing times, beloveds, where the nature of the beast has no more, the beast has no more chance to hide their wickedness. Because if they were doing that 100 years ago or 50 years ago, best believe they're still doing that today. And there's so much I could say on that. There's so much I could say on that, beloveds. But the spirit of the children is speaking out. It's coming out for justice. The bones are speaking, beloveds. Because we are in the age of truth. Truth is in charge now. Truth is the God of this new world. And so nothing can be hidden because truth is supreme at such a time as this. So be prepared for many, many more exposures, beloveds. But also understand and understand that Babylon doesn't just act. They know what they've done better than I and I. But they've been able to, they've been able to just play this game. I keep telling you, because we're in a mental world. We're in a spiritual world having this physical experience. So for them to apologize, it's all about duality and balancing out karma, etc., etc. So sometimes when they try and dish out all this money, it's not for the children. It's not for the crimes that were committed. But it's to try and play with the god of karma so that they can avoid, sidestep and be like, well, we did give them money for what happened, and they accepted it, because there's a lot also in acceptance, beloveds. I believe that when we accept as an indigenous people some of these things, we delay the justice that should be done. And so for you who haven't received your reparations, you should be rejoicing right now, because that means that justice must come. Anyway, the spirit of the children is speaking powerfully, beloveds, because it's the end of an era. So it's like that era of children, of growing up, of living is over. And so those that had their spirit cut short in terrible and horrific ways must speak out before that chapter in the book of life is closed out and a new one is opened. And that is what is happening right now. It's up to each and every one of us to make the best choices for ourselves by choosing the narrative that will benefit us, the narrative that will see us live out for 1,000 years, and that will take our bloodline on a whole new adventure in the new earth. But there are tough decisions that each and every person must make. No one can make them for you. Unfortunately, parents are making them for their children, but they will have karma to pay for that. But beloveds, in terms of this system and the way the world was, no one really wants to be here in that kind of system. Mother Nature is cleaning herself out. Which narrative will you choose to live by, to follow, to uphold, and to uplift? Many, many more hidden stories are going to come out, beloveds. And you should question, if such a people could do that then, what could they possibly be capable of now? Tuko pamoja.